policy's different. Why are we still talking about this?
Right.
That's not an empathetic way to deal with it.
Well, and I think it's important to recognize, so yes, I would absolutely say with certainty that the LDS church is a narcissistic system. I think that many of the people are wonderful and good.
Sure.
And amazing people, but one of the
Some of the best people I've ever met, right? Yeah.
Right, but also if we look at all of the people that you've met over the course of your lifetime, the church has definitely influenced the people that you've met.
Sure.
Just it's still limited, very limited view there. But sorry, squirrel. So coming right back to the narcissism thing, though, is that one of the things that we see coming out of these high demand cult-like religions, you know, I would say that the LDS church fits the diagnostic criteria for a cult, even though that's not something that most Mormons want to hear at all. But speaking under the Steve Hassan's model of what constitutes a cult, the church absolutely fits that. But one of the things that we see coming out of these systems is a much higher prevalence for personality disorders in general, especially cluster B personalities, which are really the personalities that are maladaptive and dramatic in relationships. Now, having said that, if you're dealing with somebody with OCD, personality disorder, or avoidance personality disorder, I mean, there's a lot of difficulty in that as well, or dependent personality disorder. The cluster A is more of your paranoid and schizophrenia spectrum personality disorders. But those cluster B personality disorders are very prevalent in these high demand communities. And I think a lot of the reason is because there's a lot of trauma going on. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're usually emotionally stunted in your emotional development, because if you just do what you're told, everything will be okay, and that really stops you. And we're actually going to have Wendy Wilcox Jensen on in the near future, and she and I and you, Mason, we're going to talk about the emotional immaturity of individuals in these high demand systems and why that is and where it comes from and what causes a lot of that. But because of all of these things, we see people coming out of these systems who really struggle with extreme emotional responses to seemingly small stimuli because they have not been given the opportunity to develop appropriately. So if you're coming out of a narcissistic system, it makes sense that you are traumatized because of the mind games and the lack of empathy and the lack of safety shown. Like, one of the reasons the LDS church might feel so safe is because it's a very black and white, rule-based, highly structured system that if you stay in line with the system, everything works for you. But as soon as you start to test those boundaries, the response is really toxic. It makes sense that we've got a lot of personality disorders coming out of these types of systems.
Yeah, there's a Brotherhood Course testimony